So, do you guys think that we elect the President of the United States? Do you think that we do it by ourselves? Hopefully your answer is no. This speech is meant to inform you about the process of electing our president and the Electoral College. The central idea around this is that the Electoral College was formed in 1787, and the men who drafted the Constitution debated several different formats of how they wanted to go about electing presidents and vice presidents, and the solution they came up with was the foundation that we use today. While some of it has changed a little bit, it's still overarching. It's still the overarching foundation. I've had lots of interest in the presidential elections, how we elect the Electoral College. I've done lots of research and background on why we even use the Electoral College. It's kind of a passion of mine, and I have a minor in history in my degree, and so I felt like it was a really area for me to be able to talk to you guys about and cover a few points with you. First, why did it come about? Second, what's the process of the Electoral College? And third, why over the last 227 years have we only made a few changes and what those changes are? So why create an Electoral College? The Electoral College was created to create a buffer between the government and the people. It was set up so that a tyrant couldn't come into the U.S. and really kind of take over the election process. So there wouldn't be a tyrannical reign. Someone couldn't take over the presidency by a tyrannical reign. And so in his paper to prove the Electoral College, Hamilton wrote in the Federalist Papers, it was equally desirable that the immediate election should be made by men and most capable of analyzing the qualities adapted to the station. What does this mean to us? It means that it was important that the people elected their president, but there needed to be a buffer, and they felt like there needed to be kind of a stopgap so that the people wouldn't be bamboozled and it wouldn't be an all popular vote, right? And so that was the point. That was Hamilton's point in saying that, is that people shouldn't be allowed to just be the ultimate say when it comes to a decision such as the presidency of the United States. The other problem was that they felt like a small few people would be voting, and there may not be enough buy-in from the country to make a decision on president, and so then you would be back to just a select group of people making that decision. So so they gave the Electoral College permission. The other thing was it was an agreement between, the second piece of this is, it was an agreement between the smaller states and the larger states. The smaller states felt like that if they didn't have equal amount of say toward the amount of representation they had, that they would be left out in some way and get looked over, and that there would never be a president that represented them. So the states came together, and no state can have less than 3 electoral colleges, or 3 electoral votes, and there are right now 538 electoral college votes. So when you see on election night, they're doing a count of how many when they're elected president, of how many each electoral college vote and how much the popular vote is. So you'll see the disparity there between how many electorates are given to one president, and then that magic number, of 241 votes is the number that they give, and so the person with that magic number becomes president because they can't overcome the stopgap. Honestly, while the process, there's still problems today with the process, and we've tried, and people have gone through and asked, how do we change the Electoral College? What can we do? How do we make the election fair? I don't think that there's a better solution at this time right now, and so that's probably why after 227 years we still change it. The biggest change of it was that if anything changes to the Electoral College, and this was done in 1824, that if there were any large changes made to the Electoral College, 3/4 of the states had to vote to make that change system. And so that's why there's kind of been this stalwart, because the smaller states know that if there are any changes made, that they could potentially lose electorates. So the change in electorates has only been if a state decreases or increases in population. And so there have only been so like in some states, like in 2012, Arizona, California, Colorado gained votes, while Indiana, Michigan, and Illinois lost votes. And in conclusion, I just want to say that that there's still problems with the Electoral College, but I don't know that we have a better solution for it, and so we will continue to use this. There's been no real policy change put on the map for the Electoral College. I think that people have just kind of said that's the way it is. Each state is still allowed to cast their votes, and each state still has the balance of power so that they feel like they have an investment in it. And so as you can see, it's not a perfect process, but it's the best one we have. And so I wanted to say thank you guys for listening, and I hope I informed you a little bit on the Electoral College. Thanks.